I remember the first time that I had scripted one of my YouTube videos. It took me probably 2 hours to write it because I had no idea how to do it. I also felt like a robot while reading it, and I felt like it just lacked all energy. Now, fast forward with scripted videos, I believe it's the top reason I have been able to grow my business brand to over 20,000 subscribers. Not to mention, it makes the recording process just take a few minutes, it makes the editing so much easier, and I feel like I'm even more energetic even with a script. So by the end of this video, I'll make sure that you can write your next script in less than 30 minutes and you won't have any creative constraints or feel like a robot. And the best part, you'll hopefully be getting retention graphs like I've been able to for your videos. And if you stick around till the end of the video, I'll talk about a level 100 skill when it comes to writing your videos that's gonna make the editing process 1,000 times easier. But we'll get there soon because we have some ground to cover. Before we even script our video, we first need to have our idea. Now, some creators blow my mind. They get an idea, sit down, press record, and just let it all out. Let me tell you, I cannot do that, and if you're watching this video, you probably can't too. So if you want to start making killer scripts, I made a process exactly for this, and if you want it, it's a free Notion template linked in the description below. So once we have our idea, step number one is my 2 key factors. What is my unique angle on this video, and what are the 3 to 4 talking points that I can outline? With all the content out there nowadays, it's pretty hard to be 100% original. After all, there have been tons of videos made on how you can write a YouTube script. There'd be no point of making this video if I didn't have my unique way that I do it that I can hope to help you with. So literally, whatever makes you credible or makes your video special about this topic is your unique angle. And then once I identify that, I move on to my key points. For instance, right now we're in the key points and unique angle key points section of this outline. You gotta love breaking the fourth wall. And then we're gonna transition to what I call the retention writing part, which has really helped me make amazing videos on YouTube. The whole reason why we have our key points is they're there just so that way when you sit down to type, you have direction as to where you're going. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if you start writing a video script without having a proper outline, you're just gonna end up going in circles and it's never really gonna feel complete. So if you can sell to your viewers that this video actually has an outline, they're not gonna wanna skip ahead because they may feel like if they do, they might miss out on something important. Also, before we get too deep into this, you need to think about the video pacing while you're writing. You want to include transition points to bring in new music and transition scenes because what they do is they reset a viewer's brain while watching. So just by having some of these little tricks sprinkled into your video script is one of the best ways to get better retention. And having the skill to be able to write and visualize what's actually going to be happening in the video, that's a skill we're going to cover right now. Because let's get into key factor number 2, which is retention writing plus editing. A lot of people think that they need Mr. Beast style editing to get better retention, when in fact, if they focused on making a better video outline and a script, that would do a lot of the work for you. In Notion, what I do is I open up a side doc and then I use speech to text to just riff off ideas and have them written down within Notion. I do this because it just helps me unload my brain, so that way I don't lose out on any of that like spontaneity and just natural way of talking and phrasing things. It allows me to get the general ideas out fast and then refine them with scripting. Which leads me to my next point, the strategy of actually refining that mess once you have it. So refining part 1 is reading minds. Good creators know their audience and great creators understand their audience. I want you to think about this. Most creators are either selling a product or a certain way of thinking. And see, if you have a problem and you watch someone's video and it seems like they truly understand your problem, you're probably willing to take their solution. Somebody in this space right now who's absolutely crushing it is Dan Coe. He perfectly understands his audience and has built up a massive following in record time on YouTube. Essentially, you have to think to yourself, why would somebody take your solution if they feel like you don't understand their problem? Refining part 2 is creating open loops. Remember earlier when I said this? And if you stick around till the end of the video, I'll talk about a level 100 skill when it comes to writing your videos that's gonna make the editing process 1,000 times easier. What I did is I created a loop, which is a reason for you to stick around. And until I close that loop, you're gonna remain curious about that level 100 skill and what it really is. And if I keep on teasing about how awesome it is, it builds up more and more curiosity and you're gonna stick around because you want to know. But the thing is, you don't wanna overdo this because it will just piss your viewers off. Refining part 3 then is what I call writing for the edit. Now, you're gonna be happy to know that this is actually the level 100 skill. But before I go ahead and close that loop, let me open another one because remember, your videos are selling a way of thinking or a product. And if you don't have this one crucial part in your script, your videos and your messages are just gonna fall flat. But let's get back to writing for the edit. When I write each line of my script, I write beside it the visual pairing of what will be on screen or the general idea I have. And there's two amazing reasons why you should be doing this too. Number one, this makes it very easy to edit because I can gather all my screenshots, B-rolls, and such before I even sit down and open up Premiere. And two, I am able to make sure that I have a way to visualize the script before actually editing it. This makes sure that I don't have any boring parts where it's just nothing but my face cam for 30 seconds. Doing this is what's gonna help you avoid that downward slope of retention that probably haunts you in your dreams. And this is actually what I referred to earlier as kind of a way to reset the viewer's brain. Now, before I get into that template I promised you, open loop, by the way. When it comes to selling anything, if people have questions, until you answer those questions, they're not gonna be sold on you as a creator or the product you are selling. For this reason, our script needs to handle objections. For instance, earlier in the video, I said that scripting videos had helped me grow my business channel to 20K, and I showed you a screenshot of the channel. If I just say this without any proof, you may be watching the whole video thinking, where is this guy's channel at, and is this actually credible? And earlier, I also said how retention writing can make the editing process easier. In that case, I'm not actually selling you something, but I'm selling you on the idea to take my method. And I had to actually expand on that so that way you actually got shown how it would do that. And like I said, right, it's a selling point for you to take my advice so that way you want to listen to me. Now, how do you know when someone's actually gonna have an objection or question you? Also, not to be this guy, but if you think about it, I asked you that question and I'm gonna answer that question because I figured that is a question or an objection that you may have. This skill really comes from knowing your audience. And the more you interact and engage with your target audience, the more you're gonna know about the questions that they may have. Now, as much as I wish I could keep breaking the fourth wall and telling you about the tactics as I'm using them, let's finally get into this template and how you can use it to make better YouTube videos to sell your product, service, or way of thinking. One of the things I absolutely love about this template I use is that it's nothing really hard or something for you to overthink. So to quickly go over each step, first we have what problem does this video help solve? And I put the problem there because I want to constantly be thinking about why am I making this video? What are gonna be my talking points? And essentially every sentence I have, it should be focused to either explaining the problem or help explaining the solution that is needed to solve that problem. Then the next thing we get into is what objections or what questions would viewers have about your way of doing this? And this is so important because if somebody is watching your video and more unanswered questions pile up in their head, they're probably not going to trust you or want to take your solution. You don't want to mistake that for them being curious and trying to lead them on to something. It's just they're going to be turned off because they really don't see eye to eye with you and you haven't tried to essentially reason and explain to them why they should be trusting you. And that also leads us to what makes you unique for this video. Like I said, there are tons of other YouTube videos about different topics all over the platform. What makes you unique, and honestly, what makes you different from everything else this person might have already tried and researched, especially for search-related topics? Now, the next one is what action step should the viewer be able to take after watching your video? Now, don't get me wrong, right? If you have a free masterclass, a free lead magnet, or a paid product, I'm sure you want that to be it, but there's actually something I want you to think about even before that. If somebody watches your video and you can get them to make a quick win based off something they learned in your video, they're gonna trust you a lot more. And if the free thing helped them, they're probably gonna be more likely to be like, hey, maybe this guy has something I can pay for that's gonna help me even more. So to give you guys an example, for this video, the action step is I want you to be able to download this template and just kind of dip your toes in the water of scripting and hopefully script your first video and be confident that you're going in the right direction. And then finally, we get into our 3 to 4 topics of this video because your next step is to type. And essentially, if you type without trying to figure out your key points in your outline, you're gonna go all over the place. So this is what you need to fill out before you start typing. So I'll leave a link below for you to go ahead and duplicate this into your own Notion. And thank you for watching and hope this video helps you.